pleasant day to everyone. Today we will learn about a type of data representation which is called the circle graph, in which we will explain to you how to identify, construct, read, and interpret them. To start, here are the objectives. First is to define and determine what is a pie chart. Next is to learn about the history of the circle graph. And lastly, we'll also practice interpreting and solving problems associated with the circle graph.
A pie chart or a circle chart is a circular statistical graphic which is divided into slices to illustrate numerically proportion. In a pie chart, the arc length of each slice and consequently its central angle and area is proportional to the quantity it represents, while it is named for the resemblance to a pie which has been sliced. There are variations in the way it can be presented. The earliest known pie chart is generally credited to William Playfair's Statistical Breviary of 1801. A circle graph is usually used to easily show the results of an investigation. In a proportional manner, the arcs of a circle graph are proportional to how many percent of the population gave a certain answer. Furthermore, the size of each sector of the circle graph will be proportional to the actual value of the data it represents. Percentages of the total sample are usually represented in the sectors. One of the more common uses for circle graphs or pie chart is pooling and surveys.
Definition of terms. Pie graph. It is a type of graph that displays data in a circular manner. The pieces of the graph are proportional to the fraction of the whole in each category. The entire pie represents 100% of a whole, while the pie slices represent portions of the whole. Percentage. It is a part of a whole expressed in hundreds. Segment, or the pie slices, is each of the parts into which something is or may be divided. And data is the factual information such as measurements or statistics used as a basis for reasoning, discussion, or calculation.
For our first problem involving circle graphs, Mr. and Mrs. Comandao got their monthly salary, and the family wanted to have a vacation. The combined monthly salary of Mr. and Mrs. Comandao is 60,000 pesos. And for the breakdown of the family's monthly expenses, 33% is their 3 children's tuition fee, which is 19,800 pesos. 25% is their food and basic necessities, which is 15,000 pesos. 14% for their 3 children's allowance, which is 8,400 pesos. 6,600 pesos for their electricity and water bills, which is 11%. 4,800 for their family insurance and savings, which is 8% of the couple's combined monthly salary. 5% for their transportation, which is 3,000 pesos, and the remaining 4% is for their miscellaneous expenses and emergency funds, which is 2,400 pesos.
Based on the graph above, what is the percentage of food and basic necessities if 15,000 pesos is allotted for it? So first, we should determine the total amount of the combined salary and the amount of food and basic necessities so we could find the percentage. So our food and basic necessities is 15,000 pesos and the combined salary is 60,000 pesos. So next, we should simply divide the two values and then multiply it by 100 to get the percentage. So 15,000 divided by 60 is equals to 0.25 and multiplied by 100 is equals to 25%. So therefore, the percentage of food and basic necessities is 25% of the combined salary of the parents.
For the next question, how much is allotted for the tuition fees if 30% of the budget is allotted for it? Step 1. We need to determine how much is the total amount of the salary of Mr. and Mrs. Comando. Step 2. We need to multiply the allotted percent for the tuition fees to the total amount of Mr. and Mrs. Comando's salary. As you can see on the screen, 60,000 pesos is the total amount of the salary of Mr. and Mrs. Comando. 60,000 times 33% is equals to 19,800. 19,800 pesos is the allotted amount for the tuition fees of Mr. and Mrs. Comando's children. Since the family have 3 children, 19,800 pesos will be divided into 3. So 19,800 pesos divided by 3 is equals to 6,600 pesos. Therefore, 6,600 pesos is the amount allotted for the tuition fees of Mr. and Mrs. Comando's each child.
For our second problem, Miss Chari, a grade 1 teacher, receives her first salary. She thought of giving ice cream to her class. The class is composed of 35 pupils. She then asks her pupils what their favorite flavors of ice cream are. In response, 13 students chose chocolate, 10 students chose vanilla, 5 students chose ube, and 7 students chose mango as their favorite flavors of ice cream.
For question number 1, how many degrees correspond to the sector of the vanilla? For us to determine the corresponding degree of the sector, we must follow the steps to get the answer easily. First, determine all the given and what is required. In this question, the given is the total number of the class, which is 35. Next, the number of pupils who chose the vanilla, which is 10. Lastly, as we know, the sum of the degrees in a circle is 360 degrees. Therefore, we can use the 360 degrees as our given for us to determine what is being asked. Second, make the number of pupils who chose vanilla and the total number of pupils in the fraction form. So, we have 10 over 35. Third, multiply the fraction to 360 degrees. And now that we have the fraction, we can simply multiply them in numerator to numerator and denominator to denominator. And lastly, calculate and determine the answer. Now, we can simply multiply 10 and 360 and 35 and 1. And as we know, a whole number has a denominator of 1. By that, we should multiply 35 and 1. Therefore, the answer is 102.86 degrees.
For problem number 2, in connection with question number 1, the degree is equal to what percent? From question number 1, the degree that corresponds to the sector of the vanilla in the circle graph is 102.86 degrees. For us to determine the percent value of the corresponding degree, we must follow the steps to get the answer easily. First, since the sum of the degrees in a circle is 360 degrees, we should divide the angle measurement in degrees by 360. So, we have 102.86 degrees divided by 360 is 0 and 2,857 10,000. Second is we need to convert the value by 100 to convert it to a percentage. So 0 and 2,857 10,000 times 100 is equals to 28.57%. Therefore, 102.86 degrees is equal to 28.57%.
A circle graph is a visual representation of data written in percentages. The circle represents 100%. It's broken down into sections and each section indicates what percentage of 100. The item represents each category is represented by different colors in the circle graph.
Since most people find circle graphs simpler than other graphs, it has been clearly shown that they are a useful tool for presenting information or data.
One example of this situation in which the graph shows the result of the monthly expenses of the family. The graph result indicated the percentage of expenses every month. Every month, the parents budget the expenses of the family. In that case, the percentage of the food and basic necessity of 15,000 is allotted for it. So, the total budget of allotted for the necessity is 25%. So, that's all for the circle graph.